"Rommel, you magnificent bastard! I read your book," exclaimed General George S. Patton, showing an unusual blend of admiration and rivalry towards his German counterpart, Field Marshal Erwin Rommel. This quote from the 1970 American biographical war film Patton summed up the complex and often grudging respect many Allied generals held for their German adversaries during World War II. The dynamics between those notorious figures of military strategy offer a fascinating glimpse into the minds of those who shaped the outcomes of one of history's most significant conflicts. In today's video, we'll uncover the perceptions, both critical and admiring, that some of the Allied generals had of their German counterpart. To fully understand the views of Allied generals about the German leadership, we need to take a look at their personal memoirs, wartime correspondence, and post-war analyses. The German war machine, led by key figures like Erwin Rommel, Heinz Guderian, and Erich von Manstein, represented not only formidable opposition on the battlefield, but also a distinct approach to warfare that was both innovative and ruthless. The Blitzkrieg tactics revolutionized modern warfare with their speed and coordination. This aggressive and dynamic warfare style often caught Allied forces off guard, forcing them to adapt quickly or face devastating losses. Among the Allied leaders, General Eisenhower's perspective on his German counterparts was particularly nuanced. As Supreme Commander of the Allied Expeditionary Force in Europe, Eisenhower carried the weight of the war's most crucial decisions on his shoulder. His role required not only masterful strategic planning, but also a deep understanding of the enemy's capabilities and mindset. He admired their military skills, but was severely aware of their allegiance to a corrupt and brutal regime. In his memoirs, Crusade in Europe, Eisenhower acknowledged the competence and efficiency of German generals like Erwin Rommel and Gerd von Rundstedt. He respected their strategic and operational skill, often posed significant challenges to the Allied forces. He said, "The German general staff system was one of the most efficient in the world, and their training, especially in the case of officers, was superb." Eisenhower's appreciation for the German generals was not without reservations. He noted that their tactical brilliance frequently prolonged the war and led to unnecessary suffering. Eisenhower was also critical of the unwavering loyalty many of these generals showed to Hitler, which he believed indicated a failure of moral responsibility. Eisenhower's comments on Rommel, known as the Desert Fox, reflect this duality. While he admired Rommel's tactics in North Africa, he was also conscious of Rommel's initial support for Nazi ideologies before he eventually distanced himself from Hitler. Eisenhower's assessment of Rommel was rooted in a thorough study of the German commander's tactics and achievements. Known as the Desert Fox for his cunning leadership in North Africa, Rommel had earned a reputation as a formidable opponent. Eisenhower recognized Rommel's tactical brilliance and innovative approach to mobile warfare, which had caused significant trouble for the Allies in earlier campaigns, but also realized Rommel was not perfect, as he once famously said, "Great general, but not a Superman." This respect for Rommel's abilities significantly influenced Eisenhower's approach to planning Operation Overlord, the codename for the Allied invasion of Normandy. Eisenhower knew that Rommel had been tasked with overseeing the defense of the Atlantic Wall, the extensive system of coastal fortifications built by Nazi Germany. Given Rommel's track record, Eisenhower anticipated that the German defenses would be meticulously prepared and fiercely defended. Furthermore, Eisenhower placed great emphasis on deception operations, such as Operation Bodyguard, to mislead the Germans about the true location and timing of the invasion. He knew that outsmarting Rommel would require more than just brute force. It would need cunning and misdirection on a grand scale. Ironically, Rommel was not present in Normandy on D-Day, having returned to Germany for his wife's birthday. Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery, known for his pivotal role in the North African campaign and subsequent battles in Europe, also had strong opinions about the German general. Montgomery, or Monty as he was often called, respected the Germans for their effective command structure and thorough training. However, he wasn't shy about highlighting what he saw as shortcomings in their approach. Montgomery believed that many German generals, despite their tactical brilliance, were inflexible in their strategy. He felt this rigidity was evident in battles such as Alamein, where the Germans failed to adapt to the dynamic conditions of the conflict. Monty also critiqued the German reliance on rigid, top-down command, which contrasted with the more flexible and adaptive Allied approach. Despite his criticisms, Montgomery held certain German commanders in high regard. Rommel again was a figure of particular interest. Montgomery and Rommel were adversaries in North Africa, and Montgomery respected Rommel's tactical ingenuity and leadership skill. Yet, Montgomery often expressed frustration with what he saw as a waste of German potential due to their adherence to Nazi doctrines. A released letter written by Bernard Montgomery reveals his thoughts from the North African desert during the war. In the letter, he expresses how much he thoroughly enjoyed his initial confrontation with Erwin Rommel. In his letter, he wrote, "I have never before had to face up to a field marshal in battle, and I thoroughly enjoyed it." However, Montgomery's intense focus on Rommel had its drawbacks. His fixation on the German commanders sometimes led him to overlook other important strategic considerations. For instance, in the aftermath of El Alamein, Montgomery's pursuit of the retreating German forces allowed many to escape, potentially prolonging the campaign. Moreover, Montgomery's success against Rommel reinforced his belief in his own infallibility, leading to a sense of overconfidence that would influence his decision-making in later stages of the war. This became particularly evident during Operation Market Garden in 1944, where his insistence on a narrow thrust into German-held territory, reminiscent of his tactics against Rommel, resulted in a costly Allied defeat. The rivalry between Montgomery and Rommel extended beyond the battlefield. Montgomery cultivated a public image as Rommel's nemesis, often speaking about their contests in the press. This media attention boosted Allied morale, but also fed into Montgomery's growing ego, sometimes making it harder for the Allies to work together. General George S. Patton, one of the more controversial and aggressive figures among the Allied leaders, had a more straightforward admiration for the German generals. Patton, known for his rapid and decisive actions, saw in the German commanders a reflection of some of his own military philosophy. He appreciated their aggressive tactics, swift maneuvers, and ability to inspire troops. His appreciation led Patton to study German military doctrine closely, seeking to understand and even emulate aspects of their approach that he found effective. Patton's understanding of the German generals' thinking proved particularly valuable during the Battle of the Bulge in December 1944. When the Germans launched their surprise offensive in the Ardennes, Patton anticipated their likely moves based on his study of their tactics and leadership style. His familiarity with German military doctrine allowed him to quickly reorient his Third Army and launch a counteroffensive that played a crucial role in relieving the besieged town of Bastogne. Despite his admiration, Patton was acutely aware of the ideological gap between the Allies and the Nazis. He ferociously opposed Nazi principles and was often vocal about the necessity to completely defeat them. Patton's sense of competition and respect for the German generals was purely from a professional military standpoint and did not extend to their ideological beliefs. While he harbored intense antipathy towards the Nazi ideology, he maintained a degree of professional respect for German soldiers who fought honorably. An interesting look into Patton's view of the Nazi regime took place during the liberation of Metz by American troops. On the night of the 19th of November 1944, Major Anton Dunkern was taken prisoner. Dunkern was the SS commander of the Metz region. He was a catch of such importance that Patton decided to interrogate him personally. Although Patton could speak German fluently, he chose to interrogate the SS officer through an interpreter because, as he mentioned, he wouldn't give his prisoner the honor of speaking to him directly. Patton said to Dunkern, "I have great respect for the German soldiers. They're gallant men, but not for Nazis." The Allies had a real appreciation for German strategies, especially in tank warfare. Heinz Guderian, often called the father of modern tank strategy, was key in developing the Blitzkrieg concept. His ideas about using armored divisions to break through enemy lines and create chaos were studied and respected by Allied military planners. Patton, a big supporter of armored warfare, found Guderian's tactics particularly insightful. This influence helped improve tank strategies in crucial battles like the Battle of the Bulge. While Allied commanders acknowledged the tactical skills of German leaders like Rommel, Guderian, and von Manstein, they were very aware of the moral differences between their mission and that of the Axis power. The strategies of these German commanders were overshadowed by the terrible ideologies they represented. Allied leaders often struggled with this contradiction, trying to balance their professional respect for German military tactics with their strong opposition to the goals of the Nazi regime. For Eisenhower, the liberation of Ohrdruf concentration camp and the atrocities discovered underscored the moral obligation of defeating Nazi Germany. The ability to acknowledge the strategic skill of German commanders was always counterbalanced by the understanding of the ultimate evil they represented. Patton's often blunt and straightforward attitude did not prevent him from expressing similar sentiments upon witnessing the liberation of the Buchenwald concentration camp. His professional admiration for the techniques of his enemies did not soften his horrors at their actions. After World War II, many Allied generals reflected on their wartime experiences alongside their German counterpart. Through books, memoirs, and interviews, they shared their perspectives on these formidable adversaries, highlighting their complexities. Military academies incorporated these insights into their curricula, using German campaign studies to teach future servicemen valuable lessons drawn from the strengths and weaknesses of their predecessors. The Allied generals became key storytellers, ensuring that the lessons of World War II would continue to shape military understanding for years to come. Well, that was it. We hope you found this video informative. If you enjoyed learning about today's topic, make sure to check out our other video, What Did German Generals Think of the Allied General? It's a fascinating look into the lives and military careers of some of World War II's most skilled and notorious commanders. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on more World War II content. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you in the next one.